Hello everyone, how are you all doing? I hope you all are doing good. In today's video, we are going to start a new chapter, that is carbon compounds. So let us start with what we have studied already in the previous standards, that is about organic and inorganic compounds, right? We already know that there are two major types of compounds, that is organic and inorganic. Now all the organic compounds will contain carbon and inorganic will be devoid of carbon. Okay, that is the basic difference. Now all the organic compounds are obtained directly or indirectly from the living organisms only. Followed? So necessarily they contain carbon. Correct? Now however, after the synthesis of organic compound urea from an inorganic compound in the laboratory, the organic compounds received a new identity as carbon compounds. Initially what we were saying, that organic compounds are derived only from living organisms, but then thereafter we found out that there could be synthesis of organic compound which can take place with the help of inorganic compounds as well. So later on we identified them as carbon compounds. Now all the compounds having carbon as a constituent element are called as organic compounds. For example, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, carbide salts, carbonate salts and bicarbonate salts. They are the exception to this because they are inorganic compounds of carbon. Okay, they are the exception. Followed? Now what are the bonds present in carbon compounds? We are already aware about the ionic compounds, right? We have already studied them. Now ionic compounds have high melting and boiling points. Also they conduct electricity in the molten and dissolved state. Also we have seen the properties of ionic compounds on the basis of the bonds they possess. Correct? Now the table which is given here, it shows the melting and boiling points of a few carbon compounds. Now these values are quite high or low. You have to tell whether these values are higher or lower as compared to the ionic compounds. So you'll have to compare. Now generally the melting and boiling points of carbon compounds are found to be lower than 300 degree Celsius. Now from this, the melting point, you can understand that the intermolecular attractive forces are weak in carbon compounds as compared to the ionic compounds. Followed? That is why their boiling point is low. We have already seen that the electrical conductivity of carbon compounds, glucose and urea, we observe that they are not the electrical conductors. Generally, most of the carbon compounds are found to be bad conductors of electricity. And from this we understand that the structures of most of the carbon compounds lack ionic compounds. It means that chemical bonds in carbon compounds do not produce ions. Right? Also we have learnt about the relationship between electronic configuration and valency of an element, and also about the ionic and covalent bonds. So let us see about the electronic configuration of carbon and the covalent bonds it can form. Okay, so carbon, we know its atomic number is 6, so its electronic configuration will be 2, 4, and therefore the valency of carbon will be 4. Correct? So carbon can form 4 bonds because it will need to become 2, 8. Correct? Or 2. So either it will lose 4 electrons or it will gain 4 electrons, because the nearby noble gas configuration, noble gas electronic configuration will be 2 or 2 8, correct? So we have seen that the driving force behind the formation of bond by an atom is to attain the stable electronic configuration of the nearby noble gas and obtain stability. This we already know. This is 9th standard chemistry. We have already studied this, right? Now, as the valence shell of carbon contains 4 electrons, there can be many alternative routes to attain a noble gas configuration, correct? First, to attain the configuration of noble gas helium by losing one after another all the 4 valence electrons. So, if it loses all the 4 electrons, see from here, all these 4 electrons, if carbon will lose, correct, it will become positively charged. So let us see, and once it loses all these 4 electrons, its electronic configuration will become 2, which is near to the, which is similar to the helium, correct? So in this method, the net positive charge on the carbon atom goes on increasing during loss of every electron. So carbon can become 4 positive, right? So see this C4 cation that would ultimately form in this process becomes unstable in spite of its noble gas configuration, because it has a small size with high net charge. So carbon will not take this route to attain a noble gas configuration. Followed, second is to attain stable configuration of the noble gas neon. Neon's noble gas configuration is 2,8. So what it will do, the carbon will keep on accepting electrons and it will become C4 negative. Followed, now ultimately what is formed would be unstable. Again, because it's as it has a small size and with high net charge, so it will make it very difficult for the nuclear charge +6 to hold 10 electrons around it. You are following what it is? See, carbon is becoming C4 minus, right? 4 minus means it has 4 extra electrons in the atom. That is why it has become an anion. So there are 10 electrons because 6 already is there in the carbon atom. 4 you have taken from outside. So how many electrons it will be? 10. Now 6 protons are there in the nucleus, correct? So it will become very difficult for the nucleus to hold 10 electrons. Followed? That is why this also is not possible. Therefore, carbon will not take this route also to attain a noble gas configuration. So what does it do? It is not becoming positive, it is not becoming negative. Then what does carbon do? So what carbon does is, it shares the electrons. It will share 4 electrons of valence shell with 4 valence electrons of other atoms. Rather than completely taking all the 4 electrons, it will rather share the electrons. Okay. Now in this method, 2 atoms share valence electrons with each other. So valence shells of both the atoms overlap and accommodate the shared electrons. Correct? So as a result, both the atoms will attain a noble gas configuration, whereas both will remain electrically neutral. There will be no charge because they are just sharing the electrons. No one has given the electrons or taken the electrons. Followed? Right? Therefore, carbon atom adopt this route to attain a noble gas configuration. Followed, students? Now, by following the third route, means by following the sharing of valence electrons. What it does? It shares valence electrons. So once the electrons are shared between 2 atoms, it forms covalent bond. Co means which is between the 2 atoms and valent means between the valence electrons of two atoms. Followed? Now, a covalent bond is represented clearly by drawing an electron dot structure. Now, see your hydrogen, if you see, there is one electron here and one electron here. Can you see in the hydrogen? Two dots, right? So, here you will see that one blue and one red dot is there, forming H2. This is how the electrons are shared. So, what do we do is, in this method, a circle is drawn around the atomic symbol and each of the valence electrons is indicated by a dot or a cross. Like here, how the dots are shown. The covalent bond formed between the atoms is indicated by showing the circles around the atomic symbols crossing each other. See the two circles. See here, two circles are there, and here two circles are overlapping each other, and the two dots of electrons are also shown. Correct? And the shared electrons are shown in the overlapping regions of the two circles by dot or cross. Followed, students? So, I hope electron dot structure is clear to you. So, covalent bonds. The electron dot structure is also drawn without showing the circle. One pair of shared electrons constitutes one covalent bond. Now, a covalent bond is also represented by a small line joining the symbols of two atoms. This line structure is called as the structural formula. See here, this one. This becomes the structural formula, H and H. Followed? Now, let us first look at the hydrogen molecule, which is the simplest. Okay. We already know that atomic number of hydrogen is 1. So, its atom contains one electron, correct? And it requires more one electron to complete the K shell. So, it is K, L, M, N, right? We are talking about 4 shells here. So, to attain the electronic configuration of the nearest noble gas, that is helium, it requires one more electron. So, to meet this requirement, two hydrogen atoms share their electrons to form H2 molecule. So, one covalent bond, that is a single bond, is formed between two hydrogen atoms. One this and a single bond, because they are sharing two electrons. One electron of is this atom, another electron is of this atom. Followed? Similarly, for the oxygen molecule also it will be the same. See here. Oxygen, it has 6 electrons in its outermost orbit. See here also, here also. Now, so forming two atoms of oxygen, what it will do is, so this is a very simple, 6 electrons in first oxygen, 6 electrons in second oxygen. Just by forming two bonds, here also it will become 8 electrons, here also it will become 8 electrons, because it is just sharing the electrons, right? So, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 2 bonds here. So, 8 electrons. Followed? Same will be for nitrogen. Nitrogen has 5 electrons. So, it will form 3 bonds. Simple? So, now if you consider a methane molecule, see here. See. 1, 2, 3, 4 hydrogen and 4 electrons in the outermost shell of carbon, correct? So, what it will do? Simple. Carbon, hydrogen, carbon, hydrogen, carbon, hydrogen, carbon, hydrogen. What it forms? CH4. Simply you can represent it like this. Very simple. Very good. So, this is it about the structural line formula and electron dot structure. Followed. In the next videos, we will continue with another topics of the same chapter. Thank you so much, students, for watching the video.